Hi everyone, my name is Peli Renata and welcome to my channel. As you can see, today I have prepared a very cheerful project for you in a typical Art by Marlene style. But also I will show you a couple of fun and useful techniques on how to make your image stand out against busy backgrounds. For this project, I chose to work on a page from the Art by Marlene Perfect Size Journal, and I am applying some acrylic paints directly on the page. In the description area down below, you can see the full list of the colors and the rest of the supplies that I have used for this project. As you can see, I am mixing the paints directly on my page, and I'm not worrying if it will be perfect, as I will later do some stencil work that will cover any imperfections. My chosen stencil comes from the Eternal Trio stencil pack from the latest signature collection from Art by Marlene. Through the stencil I will be applying two Art by Marlene acrylic paints called Cheesy and Kissy. I think many of you are familiar with the technique which I'm gonna use now, and that is to apply the acrylic paint and then over the stencil remove the excess paint with the wet tissue. Through my own personal experience, I came to two conclusions when doing this technique, and that is, first, you shouldn't apply too thick layer of the paint, and second, I think it's kinda better if your wet tissue is just not too wet. Also, if you would prefer that your colors are layered one on top of the other instead of being mixed, it's good to dry your layers with a heat gun before applying the next layer of paint. Anyway, as you can see, I continue doing this technique, but I try to stay mostly towards the edges of the paper. Now, I didn't listen to my own advice that I just gave to you, and somewhere, instead of layering the paints on each other, I just mixed them, which in this case wasn't a big problem as yellow and pink color mix well. But still, I felt that somewhere colors are a bit too intense, so I used the white acrylic paint called Lace and tried to push back the intensity of the color on certain areas. For more organic feeling, I was applying the paint with my finger. Now, while my paint was still on my craft mat, I used the occasion to add some splatters using exactly same two colors which I have used with the stencil as well. Now, as many of you, I really don't like wasting my paints, so once again I took these beautiful tags from Art by Marlene to pick up this paint. As you all know, Art by Marlene May Flower Challenge is going right now, so I thought this will really be practical as a background for making a project for one of those days. Also, I will use this opportunity to remind you to participate in this fun challenge and share with us your creations in the Art by Marlene Creatives Facebook group. Back to my tag. First I started applying the paint with a brush, but then I realized I wasn't really in the mood for the brush stroke effects, so I mixed up the paint using the wet tissue to get a more blended result. And then I chose one stencil from the Artsy Designs stencil pack to remove the excess paint and make a lovely background effect. Now, as more paint has stayed on my mat, I decided to repeat the whole process and make another tag using the same colors but a different stencil this time. Anyway, in a couple of days I will show you how I use these backgrounds to make a project for a challenge day. But now back to my original project. As you can see, I decided to darken the edges of my paper using the archival ink and to do some stamping. The stamp that I chose to use is called Writing on the Wall from the Essentials collection from Art by Marlene. Now, for the stamping I decided not to use the acrylic block, as this way I can get more organic look without getting big blocks of text. And now, concerning my focal images, I fussy cut a couple of puffer fishes from the Golden Oldie Collector's book. As the topic for today's challenge is happiness, I decided to make a little happy fish scene. For adhering my elements, I was using Art by Marlene sticky multi-glue. In the die-cut book, you can find these banners, these flags, together with the rope on which they are hanging, but that's really hard to cut out, and I didn't want it to have that white frame. So instead I decided to cut out the flags and draw the rope on which they are hanging by hand. First I sketched it with a pen and then reinforced it with the black Posca pen. When adhering my flags, I was paying attention to place them in the order that way that the color of the flag somewhat contrasts the color of the background. That way flags stand out a bit more. Now I had a similar concern regarding my fishes. As both my background and the fishes are colorful, I needed to do something to make them stand out a bit more. And there are a couple of ways you can do that. Here I estimated where my fishes will be placed and used the white acrylic paint to mute down my background a bit. And that's one of the best techniques that you can use to make your focal images stand out against your background. But some other things that you could do are, for example, give a shadow to your images. In this case, I will be using a watercolor marker, but you can use watercolor pen or a simple pen, whatever you have at hand. And that helps an image to stand out, but also to give it a bit more dimension. Another tip to make your images stand out is to give them some highlights. For that I tend to use either gel pen or white Posca pen. As I felt my background still very colorful, I decided to add a bit thicker frame to my page, and for that I used a black Posca pen. Here you can see me just drawing a bit thicker line with freehand. Now I decided to put a bit more effort in making my page fit today's challenge topic. So I used the stamp from the Art by Marlene Advent calendar with the word happy and stamped it several places over the page. And that's about it. Thank you all for sticking with me till the end of this video. And even more thank you to all of you who show support by liking and subscribing to my channel. Bye!